There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. Damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight, don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase, so catch me if I fall.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Full Time Sports Network. It's a bit of an off the kilter show today because we've quite a few of us being out of action and myself not being very well. We've kind of just threw something together to get something out there for you guys. I am joined, of course, by the ever-present, always here, always gone. Rebel, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I kind of wonder where my tell me what you want, tell me what you need music is gone. Bobby, what have you been doing in the background, even though Catch Me If You Fall? It kind of seems very apt because that's what Conte, that's what Potter, and that's what a certain Mr. Rogers probably are wondering right now. Who's going to catch me now that I've fallen?
They probably are, but I need to pick a bone with Bobby about something else because I'm looking through that. He's got good teams on there. I see Plymouth Argyle is on there, and he hasn't got Doncaster Rovers on there. So I'll be having words. I will be having words. Before we get into the show, let's do the housekeeping that we have to do. We are, of course, sponsored by Rafe Energy. We're not going to go into it all. Obviously, you know what it is. It's a powdered energy drink. And we do have a discount code right there on the screen, FTSN22 for 10% off. Or you can use the QR code right there on the screen and it'll do it all for you. Thank you so much to Rafe Energy.
And I always have the discount code down here for those that miss it.
He does. See, Rebel is the Rafe King, or Sith Lord, as it says. The guy, you're a bit obsessed with Rafe, aren't you?
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the games that are coming up this week. We're going to do a little prediction of what we think those games are going to be like, or the scoreline, this and that. And then if you tuned in last week, we set a challenge where they picked a fantasy team. They had so much amount of money. And they had to build a team. And I've simulated that in Football Manager, and I have the results after one season, so we will get into that as well.
But there is one important bit of news because I was forced to change my striker.
Yes, you were forced to change your striker.
So that necessitated 3 moves.
Yes, we will get into that. Don't you worry. But Rebel, the first game we're going to talk about is the game tonight, and that is Everton versus Tottenham. Sean Dyche versus, I can't even remember his name, Antonio Conte's second in command.
Scalini, was it?
I think it might be Scalini, but don't hold me to that because it might not be. But I've got the starting lineups for you. So we have for Everton, Jordan Pickford, Tarkowski, Godfrey, Michael Keane, Seamus Coleman, Dwight McNeil, Amadou Onana, Decore, Iwobi, Idrissa Gueye, and Demarai Gray. And Spurs lineup with Hugo Lloris, Eric Dyer, Christian Romero, Clement Longley, Oliver Skip, Højbjerg, Perisic, Porro, Son, Harry Kane, and Kulusevski.
It's Stellini, by the way.
Stellini, there you go. So obviously, after you've just heard those line up for both teams, what's your thoughts?
I'm going to pick on Tottenham briefly. Now, I know we lost yesterday, so those in the glass house shouldn't be really throwing boulders. But if you were to say, barring that front three of Kane, Son, and Kulusevski, I'd have said that was a mid-table Everton side or a mid-table West Ham side, because Lloris is probably at the stage where he'd have been picking up a contract to see out his retirement. Dyer wasn't good the first time he arrived in the Everton or in the squad for Tottenham. Højbjerg is all right. Perisic again is another guy that's in the twilight of his career. Like, in general, it just seems to lack quality outside of, again, the aforementioned Son, Kane, Kulusevski side of things. And when you look at the way that things have been going for them this year, they're now hoping that Conte's assistant, who bizarrely didn't follow with the club, did follow up with the club, but they have no choice but to use him. Like, he's in the unenviable position of managing the squad that his manager, Conte, assembled. It's only there because Conte gave him the blessing to stay on, because if he didn't stay, Spurs were in a world apart. I just don't see how this adds up and correlates to them being focused. It's going to be a case of, if they win, they're going to win in spite of their circumstances. Now, obviously, Everton this season have been diabolical. They started with big fat Frank Lampard, and looking at that squad, we talked a couple of weeks ago about who would you pick the bones of if A or B or C team were going to be relegated, and you'd struggle to pick the bones of anyone in that Everton squad. So, in the way, I think it could be a case of Dyche trying to pull the rabbit out of the hat and maybe get a draw, is what I'm thinking.
A draw. I mean, there's one player in there that I think, if Everton did go down, well, I mean, there's a couple in there that would get snapped up, but I think their biggest one is probably Tarkowski. He seems to be like their most solid player, if I'm going to be honest. He always has been. But
actually,
I'd go with. I think I'm going with a 1-0 win to Everton.
Actually, there is one that I forgot. Amadou Onana.
Oh yeah, Onana. He is actually a really good midfielder, Onana. But yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 Everton, simply because Clemente Lloris is back in goal.
And I'm going to go 1-1 because Kane versus Pickford, just a license for a goal, really, isn't it?
You think so? You would think so. And then obviously we don't have any. Then we've got some games. Sorry, tomorrow night we have Bournemouth versus Brighton. My outsiders to get top 4. Obviously we don't have any lineups or anything for you, but Rebel, what's your thoughts?
Brighton is a team that if they don't reach top 4, you have to do a one-chip chat. No, you have to do more jellies for, I think, isn't it? I'm the one that's currently in danger of doing the one-chip challenge. But Brighton, for me, have too much quality. 2-0 to Brighton, even though they are away.
I've got to agree. When we've done shows before and stuff, I've said, obviously, I do like Brighton. I think they'll do quite well. They are doing quite well, and I think they'll probably do it. I'm going to go. I'll go 3-1 to Brighton. I think Minamota,
yeah,
Mitoma, not Minamota. Mitoma is going to have a good game tomorrow. He seems to be finding his feet very, very well at the minute.
And he's got a mini motor.
Yeah, and he's got a mini motor. Well, he has. If you sit him play, he's got a mini motor. To the other games we have are Leeds and Nottingham Forest, a bit of a Yorkshire derby.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest have been so hit and miss for me this season, Colm. But then dirty Leeds. How can you bring yourself to kind of give any credit to dirty Leeds? It's a relegation 6-pointer, isn't it? This one, in reality, because the the team that loses. Hang on, where's me table? Leeds are 26 points, and Nottingham Forest 27 points. The reality is, most likely they are going to be in bottom 3 if they don't get points out of it after this round of games. I'm only going to go Leeds because they're at home. 1-0.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go same. Just simply because they're at home. I think if it were the other way around, I probably would have either gone for a score draw. But I think Leeds will have a bit too much for Forest at home and just get over the line. The next game we have is Leicester versus Aston Villa.
Oh, Ross FC.
Yes. So that one is 19th versus 9th.
Unai Emery has transformed that team. Steven Gerrard had all the parts. He had some of the parts to create the machine, but he wasn't able to glue them together. There was a lot of spare parts that Emery has phased out, and now he's kind of getting his team moving together. I'm going to go big here because I think Leicester are still going to be disjointed because they've only sacked Rodgers, 2 days before this game? So I'm going to go 3-0 to the Villa.
Very interesting. I'm going to go 1-0 to Leicester.
Ooh.
Just simply because that Rodgers isn't there anymore.
The question is, though, is it really at the foot of Rodgers that they had been doing so poorly? Because Maddison has been so inconsistent that you couldn't really set any sort of a fantasy football watch by him. Harvey Barnes was Harvey Barnes. But the big thing is, for me, the striker that they brought in to replace the Vardy party, Daka, even though, again, on paper, fine player, has never really taken hold of that shirt, has he?
No, he hasn't. I think that's been Leicester's problem this season for me. The midfield, when you look at it, isn't too bad. The defense, okay, it has moments where, it's like trying to catch water in a sieve, but it's been there forward. It's been attacking has been the problem for him. I mean, what have they done? 39 goals this season for him, but they've conceded 49 in total. When you look at the teams around them, yes, they've scored more than the teams that are around them. They're just, obviously they're not scoring enough when you look at it. I mean, lost 2-1 to Palace, drew 1-1, lost 3-1, lost 1-0, lost 1-0. The goals just aren't there. But I think they'll get a 1-0 win tomorrow. I do think that. And a fun one. Chelsea versus Liverpool.
Chelsea is an interesting one because they spent an obscene amount of money in the January window under Todd Bowley. They brought in Enzo Fernandez, the next Marcel Desailly from France. I can't remember what his name is. They brought in João Felix. Like, there's so many quality players that they brought in, and to be struggling the way they are, like, and I'm going to include the players that they brought in the summer, it just doesn't add up. Now, we have spoken this. No, you're not too late. It will be coming up shortly, Silver One. Don't you worry. For me, Chelsea should be very well equipped to beat Champions League positions all day, every day. And looking at it, like Liverpool and Chelsea, no matter how much I slagged them, I always thought the back end of the season, one of them was going to go on a run to scuttle somebody from either third or fourth and take that spot. Chelsea, on paper, there's no reason why they shouldn't be that team. But for me, Liverpool have been so disappointing this year. And I'm putting that solely down to the fact that their midfield is absolute cack. They didn't replace the midfield. If you remember when Manchester United was ebbing at the end of the Ferguson era, our midfield was slowly starting to creak. And then the following year, Vidic and Ferdinand were exposed in the year David Moyes. And now this year you're seeing Van Dijk exposed, Trent Alexander-Arnold's defending, and I stress defending, exposed, and Becker is being forced to cover up for them. But unfortunately for him, even though he's a better distributor of the ball than David De Gea, he's not the shot stopper that David De Gea is. And I think Liverpool would be praying for a shot stopper goalkeeper at the moment, because that's what they need until they fix their midfield. Up front, they've got 2-3 starting threes that they could have that would probably make most Premier League teams. So it's kind of a case of they need the engine room to build. Like, for me, Chelsea have the fitter, younger side and probably have the better players all through the pitch. Now, the problem for Chelsea is they have no striker. So, do you know what? I'm going to go a 4-0 draw, just because I think it could be problematic.
I think we're on the same wavelength today, because that is my prediction. 0-0, just because it's got 0-0 written all over it. This is where we're wrong, and it ends up being like a 6-5 or something like that. But yeah, no, I'm going 0-0. And I think Liverpool, I think if they think their season this year is bad, I think next year is going to be worse for them, because, you know, they've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably about 8 or 9 players they need to find replacements for.
Yeah. Can I ask you one question before we move on to the final set of fixtures, which is Thursday? Liverpool fans, did you ever think you'd hear the day where they would be singing they want to clap out?
I mean, that is strange, because obviously last season before that, Klopp was the best thing since sliced bread to Liverpool fans, and now they're wanting him out. It shows you how fickle some supporters are. It really does. Don't get me wrong, I've been managers out. Everybody's been managers out, but I've been managers out when they've deserved it. You know, yeah. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deserved it. Jose Mourinho, I wasn't really Jose out until towards the back end of his reign. Louis van Gaal, I wasn't a massive fan of him when he was in charge, so I was Louis van Gaal quite early. I was never David Moyes ever. But, you know, somebody that's delivered him a Premier League title, and they have been consistently challenging for the last couple of seasons, because they're having one bad season, it's a bit fickle, really.
Yeah, no, I will say it's not all Liverpool fans, but I'm seeing more and more of it on my Twitter feed.
Well, they might get what they want. Who knows? If results don't pick up, maybe he will be gone. We'll go to the last ones now. We have West Ham versus Newcastle.
Yeah. Geordie's going to be riding high after winning against us. Moyes picked up 3 points in his last game. It's going to be the push for Champions League football versus the push to get a bit of a buffer zone between you and the relegation drop. It's in Moyes' backyard, isn't it? Or is it in Geordie land?
No, it's in Moyes' backyard.
1-1. Because Newcastle don't score a lot of goals. Granted, they scored 2 against us, but they don't score a lot of goals. And Scamacca and Moyes' team haven't really blown anyone out of the water, suggested that they can score more than 1 on a regular basis. So 1-1.
I'm going to go. I want to say West Ham, because I just think with it being at home, they'll have that little bit more advantage. But I mean, Newcastle are a good side. We can't take that away from them. They are a good side. So I'm probably going to swing for a 1-0 victory to Newcastle.
Fair. That's fair.
But who knows? Who knows? I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. And the final game we're going to speak about is the Manchester United versus Brentford.
Yes. Ivan Toney worries me. It's possibly another preview of our future keeper in Raya, because I do like him. I do like the his style of football. But Manchester United, here's the problem. We still have Casemiro suspended. Eriksen is still out injured. Fred, McTominay, and Sabitzer. Will they dominate a Brentford midfielder? Will they dominate the Brentford midfield? Probably not. And the main problem for me, Colm, is all our goals practically came at the foot or were assisted by the foot of one Marcus Rashford. He looks absolutely knackered now. And for me, unless somebody picks up goal scoring duties, we're in big, big trouble, to quote Gunnar King of the Armory TV.
It is not wrong at all, you know. I think Brentford are a well-oiled side. I do like Brentford, you know. Can't take anything away from them. And obviously, Toney is a massive threat as well for Brentford. And they've got other players as well, you know, that can cause issues. It's become a thing now with us United fans of, crap, we haven't got Casemiro. What are we going to do? Because when we haven't got Casemiro, our midfield is like the centre of a donut. It's non-existent, basically. I am fearful for this game, but I am going to go with my gut, and I'm going to say United will win it. I think they'll win it 2-1, simply because we're at home. And I think that's going to... I think after getting absolutely destroyed by Newcastle, because let's face it, we did get destroyed by Newcastle, Erik ten Hag's going to expect to see a performance.
The problem I have is, at the moment, I don't see enough goal scoring threats in the team outside of Rashford to suggest that we get more than one goal.
Yeah, but Martial is back.
He is.
Obviously, he got a couple of minutes in his legs last game.
If you remember, though, he came back the last time, scored a goal, and went off injured.
Yeah, but if he wants to come back on, if he wants to come and play this game, score a goal, and go off injured, and it wins us the game, I don't care.
I'm going to say 1-0 United, because I think it's a case of we're going to have to try and wheddle our way through goals. Now, I'm not going to speak too much on United, because that is part of the shtick for the Man United agenda show at 8:30. So I will just say 1-0 United and move swiftly along from there.
Yeah, no worries. So that has rounded it up. I'll come back and have a look at the results and our predictions and see how many we got right or wrong. But what we're going to do now is, obviously, if you tuned in last week, you will have seen that I did set the guys a little challenge. Now, as I stated at the beginning of the show, I did build those teams and sim them in a Football Manager career mode, and I have the final standings of the league table. Now, it's not all good. I will put it that way. It's not all good. So as you can see, I have the table here. Now you'll see, obviously you were in charge of Everton, Tony was in charge of Fulham, and Ross was in charge of Leeds United. You'll see 2 teams are highlighted and 1 isn't. That is because Ross was fired in January, and you know that was pretty much him done. They did manage to stay up in 14th. Tony, unfortunately, didn't make survival. He did get relegated with Fulham, and Rebel, you finished 12th.
That, with Everton, that's respectable. I think I've clearly improved them with my squad selections.
You clearly did improve them. You did. We are going to do this again, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get it all set up and everything again. I'm gonna try and give you different teams and different budgets as well. And if anybody in the chat wants to get involved as well, please do let me know. You can go and find me on Twitter and just let me know.
Can I just point something out, actually? I'm just looking there at the goal difference. Minus 15 for Everton. Leeds, actually, in fairness, only conceded 6 more than they scored, so obviously they were tighter at the back. But, Tony, that's what you get for holding your religion to Fulham.
Well, I can say, like, some of the stats for Tony, because I wanted to see what went wrong with that. The biggest goal scorer was Mitrovic. He scored the most goals for him, with a total of 8 all season.
Actually, who was the leading goal scorer out of Everton, Leeds, and Fulham?
Out of Everton, this is nonsense, so unrealistic. So the leading goal scorer was Belotti.
Not surprising. That's why we both wanted him.
Yeah, it was Belotti, and then surprisingly, it was Calvert-Lewin for you, because obviously you had to make changes, and then obviously Mitrovic for Fulham.
What I find interesting, actually, is City didn't miss Gundogan at all, did they?
No, they didn't at all. But there is one thing that is unrealistic with this save that I did, and that's that Manchester United have won it.
No. See, the thing is, I suppose, they probably all signed players, didn't they, outside of their original squads?
Yeah, transfers were made from them. I couldn't stop them doing transfers because otherwise it wouldn't have been really fair, as say. But I am gonna sort that out again and bring it back next week.
Nice.
As well. So don't worry about that. But that pretty much wraps up the show.
And to the Paxton Road Spursy fans, enjoy your game against Sean Dyche's Hoovers.
Yeah, if you're going to watch the football, do enjoy. Stay safe. Thank you all for watching. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. For now, good night.